Hello everyone! In the next minutes we will be presenting to you Imoto, the final version of our game brought to you by Timos. Timos is the company behind Imoto. We are a team of 2 programmers and 5 designers. Our main mission is to help parents to be familiar with their children's emotional behaviors and to teach their children how to express and cope with emotional changes.
As references, we used Little Nightmare to inspire us in creating our story and difficulties that the player would face, Journey to inspire us in the artboard and environment, and Containment Breach for our mechanics such as item management and dealing with unique enemies.
Let's talk about Imoto specifically now. It is a single-player, horror adventure game played in the first person for both Windows PC and macOS. It is presented in a highly stylized cartoon style and takes place entirely within the mind of the main character. Due to its themes, we are targeting it at teenagers between the ages of 11 to 16.
The game starts with the main character trying to fall asleep, feeling disturbed and tired, and as they fall asleep they enter a dream world. In there, they must accomplish the task of finding themselves in order to be able to wake up again. This is done by exploring the world and collecting all of its items.
Since the game takes place within the mind of the main character, we wanted the areas of the game to feel very different while still being identifiable. From a prison to a garden, and even the tunnels that connect everything together, Imoto maintains the same lo-fi, highly stylized aesthetic, suitable for something dreamt or imagined within the mind.
The player can move and look around, collect and use items, and interact with the world in various ways like activating contraptions and opening doors. The core of the game involves exploring the levels in order to look for items while being under constant threat of monsters. Each monster has a different behavior, and the player cannot directly fight against them except with the use of the memory items, one associated with each enemy. These help with the monster encounters but do not trivialize them, and since the player can only use one item at a time, they will need to prepare for each encounter carefully.
Our enemies represent different emotions. The eye of each enemy represents a different emotion as well. Anxiety eyes, as in real life, are wide, open and sleepless. A purple monster that crawls into the ceiling and cannot move if being stared at. The player uses a stress ball in order to counter this enemy.
Sadness is a blue, slow-moving large monster. It is surrounded by a puddle of tears which will slow down the player if stepped on. The monster attacks by creating more of these puddles. Sadness moves like a slug and sobbing sounds accompany him. The family pendant item symbolizes a sentimental memory of our loved ones, which normally gives us a sense of comfort during moments like grief or sadness.
Raph has a spiral-shaped eyes. He is blind, as people can be when full of anger. He has a large mouth full of sharp teeth and a strong red color that fades into orange and yellow to remind the fire effect. These enemies rely on sound of the players. To counter it, the player would need to find the earmuffs and use them so the ref would not be able to hear anymore. These 2 enemies, unlike the others, are environmental enemies. Addiction is always stuck into the wall and tries to pull the player towards him. To counter it, the player can use the notebook item, which prevents the pull effect. Fear, on the other hand, is a stationary enemy. Looks like a purple fog, and if the player enters into it, it starts losing visibility and has a chance of getting paralyzed. The teddy bear item has the effect of preventing this paralysis.
Let's continue to our user interface. The interface of our game is simple, straightforward, and intuitive. Once an item is selected, for example the teddy bear over here, a short description of it will appear on the right. Equipped items are marked in the right upper corner of their image. The example showing the headphones is how the player interacts with the environment. So by holding the F key, the prompt fills out and the interaction completes. Our merchandise is based on our concept, emotional awareness. Focusing on a single task like completing a puzzle or coloring in a coloring book can put our mind into a semi-meditative state. The pulse watch will remind us to pay attention to our pulse and stress level, and the headphones for a better experience when listening to music. The tunnel links to the concept behind Imoto and to the game. They appear in both spec sheet and poster. A mysterious glowing effect of a genderless human figure delving into the tunnel, delving into his mind. Thank you so much for your time.